UFC 321 goes down this Saturday night, and it features the heavyweight title. Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane. We've been waiting for this fight forever, and finally Tom Aspinall gets to fight for the vacant, the official heavyweight title. Not an interim tag, but the official heavyweight title. And then you get a banger in the co-main event with Zhang Weili moving up to the women's flyweight division to take on champ Valentina Shevchenko. That's going to be a great fight when you got the mixed martial arts of Shevchenko versus the speed of Zhang Weili. How's that going to play out? We got those two fight predictions for you, as well as a few others. Marlon Vera isn't happy with the split decision loss last week. Paddy Pimblett versus Topuria might be the first fight in January for Paramount Plus as they shift from ESPN to Paramount Plus. We get all these topics and predictions and more next.
Broadcasting live from an undisclosed location. This is the TCMMA Podcast with your host, Chris Cross.
Whoa!
Dana White privilege.
Let's go, baby! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go, baby!
Dana White privilege. Privilege.
What's happening? This is your boy Chris Cross checking in. This is the TC MMA podcast, and what a big week we got ahead with UFC 321 on deck, but more on that in a moment. First, this past weekend, Marlon Vera suffered the loss against Aman Zahabi by split decision, and he's not happy about it, saying more or less that he nearly slapped the judges after the fight, and thank God security was there. And I don't like these tactics when it's like, two guys push each other in the schoolyard and they know that everybody's coming in the middle to break it up. There's not actually going to be a fight, so you look tougher than you are. Now, Marlon Vera is actually a UFC fighter, okay? So he's no stranger to the fight game, but like after the fight's over, there's no talking left. The fight is over. And the fact of the matter is when you look at the numbers here, I don't even know if it should have been a split decision. Zahabi led 81-56 in significant strikes, 47-30 in head strikes. So what's the complaint? Now you would think, okay, there must be some takedown time or control or something to help Zahabi even more, or to help Vera, right? To say that he won the fight. There's no control time, zero takedowns on 0 attempts for both fighters. Zahabi dominated on the feet. So I'm not really sure what Marlon Vera is talking about, right? I was confused by the split decision because I thought Aman Zahabi just won the fight. Now it helps to be able to see the numbers calculate while the fight is going on. And I hope that's something we can continue seeing on ESPN. I don't know how that's going to play out with the move to Paramount. They have it on UFC's official website, but I don't like those as much. I like the breakdown that ESPN has. And we won't really know that until the first fight at Paramount Plus. If I shift over to ESPN and it's not there, then we're going to be on UFC's official website, of course. So we'll have to wait. But speaking of the move to Paramount Plus, Dana White alluding that the first big event will be UFC 324, which already answers a question for me as to whether you will still have pay-per-view event names even though there's no pay-per-view. Will we have 324, 325, UFC 350, etc.? It seems like that, yes, we are. That is going to continue happening. And with the fact that there's no pay-per-view, I thought that maybe the UFC just goes to all fight nights and takes those pay-per-view fights and spreads them out a little more, right? Which could be a good thing or a bad thing. I was sitting down contemplating this last night and this article popped up. So, I'm not against it. I mean, the current format, why switch it up? Even if there is no, necessarily a pay-per-view, you still have a pay-per-view style card once a month. So I dig that. And it's rumored to be in Los Angeles, and it's rumored to be Ilia Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett, which who doesn't want to see that? These two have had bad feelings for each other for a long time, right? You got to go back several years of 2022 Remember when they had that little scuffle or situation inside the hotel when it appeared allegedly that Patty threw the sanitizer toward Topuria, and then Topuria tried to get at him, and they were separated and all this stuff. They were scheduled to fight. That fight didn't happen. So these two do not like each other. And I think Topuria gives Patty a shot because he just can't stand the dude, and vice versa. And how does Patty do in that fight? It would seem that Topuria is going to be a 3 or 4-1 favorite. But Patty's a tricky guy. He's been beaten before in the octagon and then still finds ways to win. So never count this dude out. I mean, you literally don't know what's going to happen when Patty steps in the octagon. Now, as normal as we head into fight week, we got to look at the do list first and foremost, right? Hamzat still 1. Speaking of Topuria, he's 2. You got Islam Makhachev and JDM getting ready to throw down in the welterweight division, but Islam is moving up. How will that play out? And could we eventually see a 2 versus 3 between Topuria and Makhachev? That could happen. 4 is Alex Pereira. He's back, right? And it's a battle between 2, 3, and 4. So when you guys are talking about UFC White House next year and everyone's saying John Jones, I got Hamza 1. I want to see Hamza versus Pereira more than John Jones versus Pereira. Number 5, Aspinall. 6, Marab. 7, Shavkat. 8, Pantoja. Of course, JDM is at 9, facing number 3, Makhachev. And then Yuri Prochazka's back in the top 10 with the big win last time out. And it seems like that could be a potential fight for Pereira at some point, or Pereira's going to vacate the title. Who knows what Pereira's going to do? But you got to put Yuri back in there with not knowing what's going to happen in that division. Ten Volkanovski's sitting at 11. I don't have him in the top 10 because I'm really not sure. He controls the featherweight right now, but will that be the case? Dricus at 12, but it's like, what's his angle? He's kind of like Yuri. If Hamza leaves and Pereira were to leave, then Dricus and Yuri are back in it, right? But Hamza's going to be in there somewhere. So those two guys lingering at 10 and 12 just don't know what to do with them. Machado Gary still at 13. Not quite as good as Shavkat, but still really good. Then you got Nunes and Harrison at 14 and 15. They're getting ready to throw down at some point. Aljamain Sterling at 16. That might be someone that we got to reconsider. I like to see him in one more fight. He's a guy I like. That's why he's there. Remember, this isn't a pound for pound. This is looking toward the future. 17 and 18, Zhang Weili and Shevchenko, the co-main event this Saturday night. And then Joshua Van, if you go back, he's 19. He's taking on Alexander Pantoja at UFC 322. So that's going to be a big one for the flyweight title, right? We did that prediction yesterday. That's going to be a good one. And then Movsar Evloev sitting there at number 20. You could start to mix in Michael Morales if he can come in and get the win against Sean Brady. So there's a lot of factors that could happen here for the do list. And there's, I remember when we were doing the top 10, there were so many guys at 11 through 20 that we had to go to 11 through 20. Will we ever open it up to 21 through 30? Doubtful. But it's getting more and more difficult as the depth just gets better and better in the UFC. Now, as we roll into UFC 321, there's a bunch of good fights. I mean, early on in the prelims, you got Amorim versus Mizuki. Looks like that might be the first fight of the night. Women's strawweight. Then in the men's flyweight, you got Azat Maxim versus Mitch Raposo. Heavyweight, Hamdi Abdel-Wahab, 4-1 favorite over short, but stocky, or big, not stocky, but big, short and big, Chris Barnett, who is a wild card. Featherweight, Nathaniel Wood versus Jose Miguel Delgado. Heavyweight, Walter Walker versus Louis Sutherland. So they threw that one in on us after we did the prediction. So that's a fight we have not done yet. We'll get to it. And then a few good others, like the lightweight fight between Ludovic Klein and Matush Rebecki. That's going to be a great fight, nearly even there. Igor Meliskarov versus Jun-Yong Park. You got Nasrat Hakparas versus Kolan Salkil. That was the first fight of the night. Now it's all the way up to the prelim headliner. So that's interesting. 9 fights in the prelims. Oh, goodness gracious. It's like my worst nightmare, because that means there's going to be 5 fights in the early prelims, which means this thing is going to be going fast throughout the prelims, and it starts at 10 a.m. So we're going to have to be wide awake and ready to go. We're going to have to be prepared Friday night this week. That's all. That's what it seems. Then as you get into the main card, right? As we wind down these pay-per-view events, same format, just not pay-per-view when we get to Paramount Plus. But in Fight 5, you got Rakic versus Azamat Murzakanov. What's Rakic going to do? We know about where he's at. It's an even fight, but Murzakanov 15-0. Now, as we get into the big four back-to-back weeks, it's the final four fights. Every once in a while, we throw the predictions up, and one of these fights that we didn't expect shoots to the top, and we got no choice but to get into that one. But today, we're looking at the top four fights. So first, let's get into the first prediction. Heavyweight division, Alexander Volkov from Russia, 38-11. Versus the Brazilian Almeida, 22-3. I just love when it's Russia versus Brazil. You got the tough man versus the potential tough man and ground game mixed in. That's what you got here. So let's get into this prediction right now. In the heavyweight division at UFC 321, you got Alexander Volkov taking on Jailton Almeida, Brazilian. So this is going to be a big-time heavyweight fight. Volkov 38-11 from Russia against Almeida 22-3, Brazilian. Volkov 4 inches taller is 6'7", he's 36, Almeida 34. Volkov 1 inch reach advantage, both guys stand right-handed. Now Volkov 5 significant strikes per minute. That's a pretty fast pace compared to 2.6 for Almeida, but you know Almeida wants to get this thing to the ground where he lands well over 2 takedowns per round. He is a problem there, and Volkov is tall, right? So it's easier for takedowns in my opinion. Volkov 72% takedown defense, probably won't matter here. He lost to Ciryl Gane by split decision in a very close fight. Volkov did beat Sergey Pavlovich by decision, subbed Tai Tuivasa, and KO'd Alexander Romanov. So he's won 4 in a row, and then you go back a fight before that against Rosenstrike, KO. So this guy is serious. You know, and Volkov's a good fighter, and he's right there knocking on the door for another title fight, but I just don't see it. Excuse me, he hasn't had a title fight yet, but he's knocking on the door to a title fight. But I just don't see it here. I think Almeida's a serious problem, and he had that setback against Curtis Blades where he had 9 takedowns in that fight and looked like he was just going to dominate until those elbows started coming down. He could have very easily, in the UFC, won about 9 or 10 straight fights. That's the only fight he lost. He's won all the others. So he's a problem. I like Almeida to get the job done here in dominant fashion and continue closing the gap on the title fight at some point. But he'll win, in my opinion, with the 23-3 heavyweight division, UFC 321. This one's simple for me. In fact, Almeida's ground game is just ridiculous. I mean, I just don't see an angle for Volkov to win, and Volkov's really tall. Almeida's going to be able to get the head on the hips, get those hands wrapped around, or even the single leg, and take him down at will and just dominate him there. Now, we did see what happened with Curtis Blades. Almeida took him down 9 times and still ended up landing them elbows and finished Almeida. So anything is possible. But if Almeida's just half of what we've seen him in the past, he's going to dominate this fight. Now, in the next one, in Fight 3, oh my goodness, you got a big one here. You got Umar Nurmagomedov. Anytime you hear Nurmagomedov, you already know he's 18-1, taking on Mario Bautista, a guy that is 16-2. Russia versus USA in Abu Dhabi, making it even more interesting, right? Russia versus USA. All eyes are on this one. Let's get to it right now. In the bantamweight division at UFC 321, you got Umar Nurmagomedov taking on Mario Bautista. Umar, 18-1 from Russia. Bautista from America, 16-2. Two really good fighters. Umar coming off the title fight in which he lost to Merab. Bautista 1 inch taller at 5'9". He's 32. Umar 29, right in the prime. Both guys in the prime. Equal reach. Umar fights right-handed. Mario fights switch stance, always an advantage. Mario 6.1 significant strikes per minute to Umar's 4.4. So he's got, I mean, Bautista is very, very active on the feet, but Umar's active on the ground, over 1 takedown per round to Mario Bautista's 1 every other round. Now, again, Umar, first of all, 78% takedown defense. That's really good. That's going to help here, but he's coming off the Merab loss. Fought well, 111 to 104 in significant strikes. He trailed by 7 takedowns to 2. So he's going to have to defend takedowns better to beat a guy like Merab, who really seems unstoppable right now. He did beat Corey Sandhagen. Think about that. That's a huge victory. 5 takedowns to none, 98 to 71 on the feet. He also beat Bekzak Almacan by decision and KO'd Rayoni Barcelos, and the wins go back all the way to 2021. I mean, he's run off 6 straight wins before the title fight loss. So he's one of the best in the division. Now, Bautista has been winning since the Trevin Jones loss in 2021. Since then, he's run off about 8 straight victories, including patchy mix in the last fight. And Bautista, it reminds me of Charles Oliveira in the lightweight division, right? Just not as long. You know, he comes in 2-2. He even lost to Corey Sandhagen back in the day in 2019, then lost to Trevin Jones, right? Who would have known he'd then run off 8 straight wins? He's a different fighter now. Even better than when he came into the UFC of 14-0. So he is a problem. Umar is a puzzle you got to figure out. I'm highly interested in this fight. Bautista's a guy that's capable of coming in here and winning, but I cannot go against Umar right now, right? Man, it's a tough fight because Mario could win the fight. I mean, this is going to be an interesting situation. And if you beat Umar, you're probably fighting for the title. So, but I can't go against Umar right now. I mean, the guy was basically 18-0 just a few months back fighting for the title. Even though Bautista is that good, I just don't see Umar losing. I'm a little bit concerned about the activity from Mario with 6 significant strikes per minute, but you know, that's why Umar's got a ground game and he's going to have to utilize it big time here. I mean, he's really going to have to utilize it. And, you know, Bautista stops 2 out of 3 takedowns. So, you know, you might get 10 to 12 takedown attempts here from Umar and he might land 3 or 4. But that's what it's going to happen to win this fight. But he's smart enough to do it. I like Umar Nurmagomedov here to get the win by decision to move to 19-1 bantamweight division, UFC 321. Yeah, so Umar's a heavy favorite, but I still say by decision just because I respect Mario Bautista that much. I mean, Umar's an 8-1 favorite. I don't know if you should go that far, right? With the strike game of Bautista. Now, Umar is just going to be better and better and better on the ground, right? Again, you got Nurmagomedov on your name. You're going to have to be solid on the ground, and that's what he'll do. That'll lead him to victory, but I won't be surprised if Bautista wins 1 of the 3 rounds to get to a 29-28 decision, but he'll still lose. Now, in the women's strawweight division, forget about it. Co-main event for the vacant women's strawweight title. That's because Zhang Weili is moving up next week against Shevchenko. Here you got Verna Jandiroba from Brazil, 22-3, taking on Mackenzie Dern, finally getting the opportunity to fight for the title. I don't think she's fought for it in the past, unless I'm mistaken. Maybe she has, but this is a big opportunity for her, and in fact, she's the favorite. So let's jump into this one right now. In the women's strawweight division, your co-main event right now at UFC 321, you got Verna Jandiroba taking on Mackenzie Dern. You know what that means. Brazil on Brazil. Verna 22-3, Dern 15-5. Dern 1 inch taller at 5'4". She's 32. Jandiroba 37, which in the men's divisions you start getting a little worried here. Women's, not so much. They're kind of still at their prime in 37. Verna 1 inch reach advantage, both stand right-handed. Dern's got the advantage on the feet, 3.3 significant strikes per minute to 2 per minute for Verna, but neither one of them is really a great striker. Both of them want to go to the ground, but really Verna wants to go to the ground more. She lands over 2 takedowns every 3 rounds. Dern gets like 1 every 3. And Dern's stats are not impressive throughout the career. More on that in a minute. Verna, 73% takedown defense. Has won 5 in a row against Angela Hill, Marina Rodriguez, Lupi Godinez, all by decision. She submitted Amanda Lemos by armbar, which is big, and beat Jan Jounin, big win, by decision. So Verna is still, you hear 37 years old. This woman won 5 fights in a row. Dern won back-to-back fights over Lupi Godinez by decision and armbar against Amanda Ribas. So both of them capable of submitting their opponent. But before that, Dern lost to Amanda Lemos by decision and Jessica Andrade by TKO. So, the interesting fight there is Amanda Lemos, right? Because Jana Robas submitted her and Lemos beat Dern pretty easily by decision. Doubled her up on significant strikes. Against Verna, we didn't even have time to see how the strike game would go there. It was just 2-2 when the fight got finished by submission in the first round. So, gosh, I like Mackenzie Dern, and hopefully I don't pay for this pick because I'll probably be rooting for her. But in terms of putting my prediction on the line, I got to go with Verna Jandiroba to get the W here. The ground game is ridiculous. She's won 5 in a row, unless she's completely just slowed down since the last time we've seen her. If she, that's the only way I see her losing this fight, but I don't think that's a realistic possibility. I think she's still rolling. You won 5 in a row. She wants to keep rolling right into, I was going to say right into a title fight. So I'm missing this whole thing here. So this is for the vacant belt. I forgot about that, right? Since Zhang Weili moved up. Okay, so this is huge here, man. Wow. Yeah, I still like Jandiroba. She's probably going to be the strawweight champ, but Dern has been fighting to get to this point too. Wow. Mackenzie Dern's fighting for the title. I'd love to tell you that she's going to win, but I still like Verna to get the job done and move to 23-3. Likely by finish, second or third round, she'll get the win, but I will be rooting for Mackenzie Dern. Make no mistake about it. Women's strawweight division, UFC 321. Bummer. We're going with Verna Jandiroba to get the win. I'd really like to see Mackenzie Dern win this fight. In fact, I'm going to be rooting for her 100%. If Mackenzie Dern wins this fight, I'll be glad for this prediction to be wrong. But I just can't go with Mackenzie Dern. I mean, Jandiroba 22-3. It's Brazil on Brazil, so you don't get not an easy, but a matchup against a non-Brazilian fighter. You're going to be like looking yourself in the mirror in terms of style, right? Dern is going to be better on the feet, but can she defend the takedowns of Jandiroba? That's going to be the big question mark, and I'm not so sure she can, but she is the favorite. So the odds makers are saying, hey, Mackenzie Dern is going to be the next women's strawweight champion. So I'm excited to see that fight. Make no mistake about it. Then you get into the main event. Heavyweight division doesn't get any better than this. Another vacant title on the line. The previous fight, Zhang Weili vacated the title. Then in this one, in the main event, John Jones vacated the title. Tom Aspinall is already the interim champ. So now he's going for the vacant title against Ciryl Gane, a guy that just continues to be in the mix. Nobody's talking about Ciryl Gane winning the heavyweight title, right? It's just assumed right now that Tom Aspinall is going to win. And if Ciryl Gane wins this fight, oh my goodness, because John Jones beat him, Francis Ngannou beat him with a bad knee. So that'll just end the mystique of Tom. This is a must-win situation for Tom Aspinall. He cannot lose this fight. If he loses this fight, the heavyweight division will just turn into sheer chaos. But that's why we make picks. You never know which way we're going to go. We're 17-18 coming in. This fight was done months ago, so when we did this, we didn't know what the record would be, but we're 17-18 now. We finally battled back to 500 last week after winning 3 or 4 weeks in a row. Then we fell last week with Rainier de Ritter not coming out of the corner. Let's not even get into that. Let's move on. But here we got Tom Aspinall and Ciryl Gane. We have got to get this pick right. Here it is. In the heavyweight division for the heavyweight division title. In your main event at UFC 321, you got Tom Aspinall taking on Ciryl Gane, and this is the best fight to make at this current time, right? Even though Ciryl Gane's lost to Francis Ngannou and John Jones, he's pretty much beat everyone else. So he's 13-2 from France. Aspinall 15-3 from England. Aspinall 1 inch taller at 6'5". He's 32, Gane 35. Gane 3-inch reach advantage, 81-78. Both guys stand right-handed. Aspinall over 8 significant strikes per minute to 5.3 for Gane, but both are really good. Aspinall also lands like over a takedown per round. Ciryl Gane 1 every 5, and he's got a 43% takedown defense. So keep an eye on that in this fight. That's not good for him. Aspinall beat Curtis Blades, KO. Sergey Pavlovich, KO. Marcin Tybura, KO. No takedowns needed in those 3 fights. They were all over in the first round. Now, he did lose to Curtis Blades, but we all know what happened there. Before that, he beat Alexander Volkov by submission. Sergey Spivak, KO. Submitted Andrei Arlovsky, KO'd. Alan Baldo, KO'd. Jake Call. I mean, the guy is on a tremendous run as far as heavyweights, which is why everybody wanted to see him face John Jones. Now, Ciryl Gane, since the loss to John Jones by submission in 2 minutes and 4 seconds, he beat Sergey Spivak by second round KO and then fought Volkov to a split decision. I don't like that whatsoever, but Volkov's still one of the top contenders. So, this is the best matchup to make. When you go down the list of the UFC heavyweight rankings, I mean, this is it. But again, Ciryl Gane lost to John Jones and Francis Ngannou. If we're supposed to believe Tom Aspinall is a true heavyweight champion, this is a fight that he's got to win. I mean, this is a must-win fight, and I think he's going to win the fight. I mean, he's just going to overpower Ciryl Gane. 3 significant strikes more per minute, plus 1 takedown every round, if necessary. This is a fight that he should run through Ciryl Gane and retain the belt. And, he needs a finish at least by the second or third round, if not the first. That's just the way he needs to do it. He'll get the win that way, I'm sure. In my opinion, to move to 16-3 here, heavyweight division for the title at UFC 321. Yeah, so what did you think? I was going to go against Tom Aspinall? Are you serious? Are you serious? It's not even fathomable that Tom Aspinall loses his fight, which is what makes me very nervous about it. Again, nobody that I've talked to is talking about Ciryl Gane winning the heavyweight title. That's because he lost to Ngannou and John Jones, 2 of the previous heavyweight big timers, right? If Ciryl Gane wins this fight, it just takes Aspinall and just throws him to the wayside. Doesn't mean Aspinall will never win the title, but this is a must-win for Aspinall. I just cannot fathom that he will lose this fight. So it's an easy pick for me. But we've said that throughout the year, and we're 17-18. So if you think you know what's going to happen in 2025, might as well just take a nap and wake up in 2026, and hopefully it gets easier to predict these fights. But that's the way I'm going. Got to have Tom Aspinall. We need to get back to 18-18. Head into November, the 4th. Well, we're in the 4th quarter now. But we got to get back to 500 to make that late run here at the end of the season. So we'll see what happens. For now, this your boy Chris Cross. Hope you have a great day. We'll see you Saturday night. And God bless. Peace.